Hello there, welcome back to Leviathan. Today we're going to be counting down all 18 roller coasters that you can find at Canada's Wonderland from my least favorite to my favorite. So, please watch to the end of the video, I'd greatly appreciate that. Anyways, cue the intro. So, to start off our list, in the number 18 spot, we have Taxi Jam. This is a family coaster, or not even family, kiddie coaster. It's small, short, boring. Like, you need a kid under a certain height to ride it, so that tells you, like, how small it is. It just doesn't do much apart from be a ride for kids, and that's what it's good for, but that doesn't mean that it's good. So, and in our 17th spot, we have Time Warp. Time Warp is a Zamperla Volair, and these are renowned for being uncomfortable, rough, and just generally bad rides. So they were basically invented as a cheaper alternative to a B&M flying coaster, but you can tell that it's a cheaper alternative to something that's actually good. Because if you ride this, its inversions are terrible, its restraints are non-existent, you just have to hold on, but again, they're safe, so it's rough. The turns are way too tight. It's just not good. It's very uncomfortable. So, yeah, not a good ride. So that's why it gets our number 17 spot. In our 16th place slot, we have Wonder Mountain Guardian. This is a art engineering interactive dark ride coaster, which until pretty recently was the only one of its kind until Primordial opened at Lagoon. But this ride is just not as good as Primordial looks. This ride only has a small coaster section. It's not that intense. The audio and the screens in this ride constantly do not work. I've only had it once, and that was my first ride where the audio and screens both actually worked. Again, with screens. Also, not the best graphics I've seen. Especially for something that opened in 2004, the graphics look like 2010. So, again, another bad thing. It's the only upcharge roller coaster at Canada's Wonderland. So this, you need to buy a locker to ride or leave your things with a non-rider because you cannot bring any bags onto this ride. And once you get in there, the lockers are hourly, and the line takes a long time because this ride only has 8 people per train, and sometimes they'll just only load 4 people per train. So the capacity is not that good. I did hear the bag system is going to be removed for next year, maybe, with bins, so keep out for that. But yeah, bag capacity, not the best graphics. The only good thing I'd say is apparently it gets a Halloween overlay during Halloween Haunt, where you're fighting zombies instead, so that's pretty cool. But apart from that, this ride's just not that good. And in our 15th place slot, we have Silver Streak. This is a Vekoma family coaster, also nicknamed Hang and Bang, as these rides are notorious for being really rough. This one, surprisingly, actually isn't. The one at Carowinds, Kitty Hawk, that one has big, bulky over-the-shoulder restraints. That one's pretty bad. But this one, not that bad. It's just kind of short, boring. Always has a long line. And it's not really close to any other rides, apart from 2 little, family flat rides. And it's good for kids, but then, near nothing else. Boring, short. It always has a long line, so if it has a short line and you need the credit, hop in line for it. Then after that, there's no need to ride it. And in our 14th place slot, we have The Fly. This is a Mauer Rides Wild Mouse. It's intense, but not that intense. Has a lot of lateral Gs, so this is one of those rides that pin you to the side of your seat when you go through the turns because there's no banking. It's pretty good for kids, and honestly, whenever I ride it, I find it's always just a good time. It's not rough, but it's not smooth. It's not bad, but it's not the best. So that's why it gets a number 14th place. I would actually recommend riding this, apart from the fact that it gets a long line a lot of the time. But if you see with a short line, hop in line for it, because this is honestly just a really fun ride. And in our 13th place slot, we have the Mighty Canadian Mindbuster. This is a PTC Comet, and honestly, it's just terrible. It's rough, it's long, which makes it so there's more time for you to die because it's rough. Not die literally, but it's not that smooth, to put it lightly. It's not bad, but again, better than the others I've listed, maybe, sometimes. It's very accessible for larger riders, though. It does also give some good like forces, so it does have some good airtime, but apart from that, this ride's really rough and bad. So I have a whole video about this ride being rough and bad, so go check that out if you want. If not, don't. I don't care. In our number 12th spot, we have Flight Deck. This is a Vekoma SLC and is noted on being one of the worst Vekoma SLCs and one of the worst roller coasters in general. This is really rough. It's not smooth, like rough, not smooth. That's the same thing. I don't know what I'm nattering about. No, it's either has no line or a very long line at all. If you need the credit, go on it. Apart from that, there's no need to go on this. It's not good. It is pretty intense, but honestly, Canada's Wonderland, add the Vekoma vest restraints on this. That would be amazing. Apart from that, though, this ride is just not good. In our number 11 spot, we have Wild Beast. This is another PTC wooden coaster. This one a lot of people call worse, but I actually think this one's better. It has a better layout. It's less rough, in my opinion. Yeah, so rough, but last time I went on it, there was actually a 4-year-old girl riding this, so I'm going to say that it's good for kids. Yet again, because it has the same trains as Mindbuster, it is also accessible for larger guests. But it never has a long line, I find. I also don't go a lot of the times when it's busy, though. But yeah, Wild Beast, actually a really fun ride. A lot of people put this and say it's really bad and Mindbuster's better, but honestly, I think Mindbuster is a lot worse. So to start off our top 10, we have Thunder Run. This is a Mock Rides powered coaster, and the fact that it's a powered coaster causes a lot of people to say it's not a roller coaster, as roller coasters need to rely on gravity to go around. I do count it as a roller coaster, but if people do count it as a roller coaster, they usually don't say it's better than some of the rides or a lot of the rides I listed before. But I honestly quite really like this ride. It's fun, good for kids, not intense, so if you're not good for intense rides, this is a really good ride for you. Apart from the fact, the only downside is it always has a really long line, as this has pretty long trains, but it's also a shorter layout, but like on the longer side of short, and it goes through it twice, so it takes a while for this ride to cycle, and it always gets a fairly long line for how long the train's in. You'd expect the line to go faster, and of how like small of a ride it is, you again think it'd be faster than it is, but this ride for it gets a fairly long line, so that's honestly the only bad part I'd say about this ride, so that's why I think it is the perfect spot for our number 10. And our 9th coaster is the Bat. This is a Vekoma boomerang, which are known for being not good, and this ride is also known for being not good. It uses one of the old trains from Dragonfire, so it's fairly rough. It features 3 inversions with a max G-force of 5.3, which makes it very intense, and it even goes through those backwards, so it's very intense. That's what you expect from this. It either has no line at all or a very long line. I've seen recently it's also been a bit iffy with the maintenance, so it has some troubles with operating, like in staying operational, but apart from that, yeah, I think it's a good spot for our 9th spot. It's not good, but better than the other rides I've listed. And in number 8, we have the Ghoster Coaster. This, in my controversial opinion, is the best wooden coaster at Canada's Wonderland. That is because the other 2 are very bad. This is a kids wooden coaster. It's very fun. Not actually that rough. It's fairly short. Doesn't really have a long line, and it's cute. Has some pretty cute theming. Like, it's not over the top, but it's some pretty good theming, especially for Cedar Fair. I don't have much to say about this. I just quite like this ride. And in the number 7 spot, we have the newest coaster to open on this list, Snoopy's Racing Railway. This opened this year and is an art engineering family launch coaster. So being a family launch coaster, it's good for kids on the shorter side. I've always seen it with a long line. The theming on this thing, though, is actually amazing. This, especially for Cedar Fair. Cedar Fair actually did a really good job on this. And it's comfortable. These restraints are amazing, and these are on Cannibal. That's another reason why I really want to ride Cannibal, because those restraints on that would be amazing. But no, this ride's just really good. It's not the best, but it's still just a fun ride and a great addition for Canada's Wonderland. And in the number 6 spot, we have a pretty similar coaster, Backlot Stunt Coaster. This is, again, a family launch coaster. This one being more intense and being built by Premier Rides. This used to be known as the Italian Job Stunt Coaster, and my parents still call it Italian Job because they're old. They're not that old. But no, this is fun, pretty accessible. It can get a bit uncomfortable at points, but it does have good theming. If you go to Kings Island, they run theirs with fire effects, and Kings Dominion, I think, yeah. Kings Dominion runs it with fire effects. This is the only park that doesn't. So, Canada's Wonderland, turn on the effects. It would be so cool. Anyways, this is the, I'd say middle. I haven't ridden the one at Kings Dominion, but they run theirs tunnel with the lights on. I feel like it makes it less predictable. Or more predictable, sorry. So I feel like this is like a bit better than that, but nowhere near as good as Kings Island. So, I'd say this is about middle of its, the other two rides that are the exact same, but still a very fun ride. And in the number 5 spot, we have Dragonfire. I mentioned this ride earlier, as Bat uses one of its trains that it opened with. Now it only runs 2 trains. This is a fun, intense roller coaster. It's a bit rough, as it's a Aero looper, and Aero did not use heartlining at all, so that led to very janky transitions. It is fairly accessible with its over-the-shoulder restraints. It does have a seatbelt, so that kind of hinders its accessibility a bit. But yeah, apart from that, this goes upside down. But I'd say it's a good first roller coaster that goes upside down. If you're going with people who've never ridden on a roller coaster, this should be the first one that you bring them on if they haven't ever gone upside down. That should be the first one that they go upside down on. This is a good starter coaster for going upside down, but still just a very fun roller coaster. In the number 4 spot, we have Vortex. This is another Aero built coaster, this one being their suspended swinging coaster model. These rides are actually really fun. I've only been on 3 at Kings Island. This is the best one I've been on. The one at Cedar Point, Iron Dragon, a lot of people hate on that ride. I think it's really fun. And this ride, I don't think I've heard a single person hate on it. It's intense, it's fast, it's still accessible. Honestly, just a really good ride. Not that rough. It's been running amazing this year. So if there's one ride that you really are scared of roller coasters, this again should be your first big thrill coaster. So that's a good stepping stone, and honestly, it's just a fun ride. So if you're at Canada's Wonderland, especially if you see it with the short line, go and ride Vortex. And we've made it to the top 3. And to start off our top 3, we have Yukon Striker. This, some people, a lot of them are GP, will say that this is the best roller coaster at Canada's Wonderland. Honestly, I think it's the worst of the big 3. Its restraints are pretty uncomfortable for me, but that's because I'm really skinny, so it pushes against my pelvis. Apart from that, it's actually fairly accommodating for larger guests. It's very graceful layout, so it doesn't snap you through the inversions. It's a lot more graceful through the inversions. That does not mean it's not intense. This is the world's tallest, fastest, and longest dive coaster. So a dive coaster is a roller coaster built by Bolliger and Mabillard, which basically brings you to the top of its lift hill and then holds you at the top facing down your vertical or beyond vertical drop. Then you drop down, then you go through the rest of the layout. This ride is I'm pretty sure the last one that B&M built with its standard very big track. Now they've gone to building smaller dive coasters with their smaller track, but apart from this is actually really tall and scary and very intimidating for the general public. So this a lot of the time has a really long line, but yeah, apart from that, this is just a really good ride. And for number 2, we have Behemoth. This is a B&M hyper coaster, which is very intense and imposing. It's very pretty ride. This is just basically a bunch of hills where you float out of your seat. Don't worry, you won't go flying out. Your restraint keeps you in. It's really fun. I've seen it with some pretty short waits, which sucks because this is honestly an amazing ride. And depending on the day, I might think that this is the best B&M Hyper or Diamondback or Mako. Depends on the day, really. But this is just an elite B&M Hyper and just generally an elite roller coaster. This is honestly amazing and would be the best roller coaster in Canada if not for our number 1 spot, Leviathan. This ride is amazing. It is the first roller coaster over 300 feet built by Bolliger and Mabillard, classifying it as a giga coaster. Giga Coaster being a roller coaster between 300 and 399 feet tall, making this ride very tall. It's not 399 feet tall, it's 306, very far off from 399, but still, that's tall. It's honestly amazing. It didn't open as the biggest coaster in the world, but honestly, still really fun. It has a focus on airtime and low to the ground turns, and honestly, this ride is amazing. I've seen a lot of people say it's the worst B&M Giga Coaster. Honestly, in my opinion, second best. There's no way this thing's gonna beat Fury, but this is way better than Orion. You can argue with me in the comments. You are going to be wrong. Orion is nowhere near as good as the other two B&M Gigas. Anyways, honestly, if I can have one bit of advice for riding this ride, it would be to ride this in the front at night. That is like the best experience I've ever had on a roller coaster, I think. It's honestly so fun, so if you want to go do that. It'd be very cool if you did, and had fun on that as much as I did. And if not, just go ride Leviathan. It's fun. And anyways, that's the end of our list. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and hope you're having a good day. If not, just keep coasting through it. I'm Leviathan Liam. I'll see you guys in the next video.